night the US and Israel struck Iran. And what happened next? It started in silence, no warning, no speeches, no last-minute negotiations. Then, within minutes, the sky over Iran lit up. Missiles, explosions, targets hit with surgical precision. This wasn't just another airstrike. This was a coordinated assault by the United States and Israel, designed to hit the core of Iran's power in a single night. But here's the part most people don't understand. That strike didn't end anything. It started something much bigger. Like 52:30. In the early hours of February 28, 2026, the operation began. U.S. and Israeli forces launched a synchronized attack from air, sea, and long-range positions. Stealth aircraft crossed into Iranian airspace. Cruise missiles were launched from hundreds of miles away. Drones moved in ahead of the strike, mapping defenses in real time. Then the first wave hit. Air defense systems were the primary target. Radar installations, missile batteries, command centers. The goal was simple: blind Iran. And it worked, at least at first. Within the opening phase, large parts of Iran's defensive network went offline. And that's when the second wave came in. 2:30. Once the skies were opened, the real targets were hit. Not random, not symbolic, strategic. Precision-guided munitions struck. Nuclear facilities, missile production sites, military command hubs. Underground complexes built to survive exactly this kind of attack were targeted with deep penetration bombs. Each strike was calculated, each target chosen long before the operation began. Then came the most controversial phase. Leadership targets, high-ranking officials, senior commanders, key figures tied to Iran's military and strategic programs. The message was unmistakable. This wasn't just about slowing Iran down. It was about disrupting the system itself. And for a brief moment, it looked like it might work. Shock and silence, 4:30 5:40. In the hours that followed, Iran went quiet. Communications were disrupted. Military coordination slowed. Damage assessments began. Smoke rose from multiple sites. Airspace was shut down. And across the region, one question dominated. Was this the decisive blow? Had the US and Israel actually crippled Iran's ability to respond? For a moment, it seemed possible. But that moment didn't last. Response. The first signs came quickly. Not from speeches, not from diplomacy, from the sky. Drones, dozens of them, launched toward Israel. Some were intercepted, some were not. Then came the missiles. Ballistic missiles, faster, harder to stop, were fired in waves. Targets included Israeli cities, strategic infrastructure, US military positions in the region. This wasn't symbolic retaliation. This was organized, deliberate, and escalating. Iran had taken the hit. And now it was hitting back. Spreads, 7:20, 8:40. The conflict didn't stay contained. It expanded, fast. Iran-aligned forces across the region began to move. From the north, rockets were launched toward Israel from Lebanon. From the Gulf, threats emerged against US bases and shipping routes. Critical choke points, especially in global oil transit, suddenly became unstable. Markets reacted, militaries mobilized, and what started as a targeted strike turned into a regional confrontation. At this point, the battlefield wasn't just Iran anymore. It was the entire Middle East. Strategy: absorb and retaliate, 8:40-30. Despite the damage, Iran didn't collapse. It adapted. Command structures shifted. Military control tightened. Response operations continued. The strategy became clear. Absorb the darab, the strike, then expand the response. Instead of pulling back, Iran widened the conflict. Because from their perspective, this wasn't just an attack. It was a test of survival. And survival meant proving one thing, that they could still fight and keep fighting. The US and Israel launched one of the most precise and powerful strikes in modern warfare. They hit critical infrastructure, strategic facilities, and key elements of Iran's command stores. But here's the reality. The strike didn't end the threat. It transformed it. Because in modern conflict, power isn't just about who strikes first. It's about who can endure the strike and respond. And Iran did respond, not with collapse, but with escalation. So the real story isn't just about the night of the attack. It's about what came after. A conflict that didn't stop. A region that didn't stabilize. And a war that may only be beginning. Targeted. But within days, it became clear. This wasn't the end of the conflict. It was only the opening move. Because what came next was bigger, wider, and far more dangerous. Initial exchange, both sides made a critical decision. They didn't step back. They leaned in. The United States and Israel continued targeted strikes, not as a one-time operation, but as an ongoing campaign. Follow-up air raids hit missile launch sites. Surveillance drones remained active over Iran. Naval forces repositioned in the Gulf. At the same time, Iran increased the tempo of its attacks. What began as retaliation became sustained warfare. This marked the moment the conflict officially shifted from a strike and response to a prolonged military confrontation. War intensifies. 2 to 3:30. Iran escalated its missile strategy. Instead of isolated launches, it moved to coordinated barrages. Multiple waves fired in short intervals. Mixed use of drones and ballistic missiles. Target saturation to overwhelm defenses. Israel's missile defense systems intercepted many threats, but not all. Explosions hit urban and strategic areas, increasing pressure on Israeli leadership. Meanwhile, U.S. bases across the region remained under threat. The message from Iran was clear. You can strike us, but you cannot stop us from striking back. 3:35:30. The war began to spill beyond Iran and Israel. Across the Middle East, tensions turned into action. Armed groups aligned with Iran opened secondary fronts. Rocket fire increased from neighboring territories. U.S. military installations were put on high alert. Shipping routes became dangerous. Commercial vessels began rerouting or halting operations. Insurance costs for shipping skyrocketed. And then came the biggest concern, the stability of global oil supply. Even the threat of disruption sent shockwaves through global markets. Because now, this wasn't just a military conflict, it was an economic one. Flashpoint, 5:37. All eyes turned to one critical location, the Strait of Hormuz. A narrow passage, but one of the most important oil choke points on Earth. Iran began signaling it could disrupt shipping, target tankers, mine key routes. In response, the United States increased naval presence. Warships, surveillance aircraft, and defensive systems were deployed to secure the corridor. This created a dangerous situation. One miscalculation, one incident, and the conflict could spiral into a full global crisis. War 7. While missiles flew in the sky, another war was happening in the shadows. Cyber attacks intensified. Infrastructure systems targeted. Communication networks disrupted. Financial systems probed and attacked. Both sides attempted to weaken each other without direct confrontation. This digital battlefield added a new layer. Even countries not directly involved began to feel the impact, because cyber warfare doesn't respect borders. Strategic deadlock. After days of escalation, a pattern emerged. Neither side could land a decisive blow. The US and Israel could strike with precision. Iran could absorb damage and retaliate. This created a dangerous balance, a strategic deadlock, no quick victory, no clear exit, only continued risk. And with every new strike, the chance of wider escalation increased. Without an end. So what happened after the initial attack? The war didn't stop. It evolved. From a single night of strikes to a prolonged conflict with global consequences. Missiles continued to fly. The region became unstable. The world economy felt the pressure. And most importantly, neither side backed down. Because at this level of conflict, stopping isn't easy. Every move creates another reaction. Every strike demands another response. And that's what makes this situation so dangerous. Not just the power of the weapons, but the cycle they create. A cycle that once started is very hard to stop.